Most people who own stocks don't actually know what they own. They know the price went up. They know the ticker symbol. But the actual thing sitting in their brokerage account is blurry. And that blur, that small gap in understanding, is quietly costing them money every single year. Here's what's strange about this moment in history. More retail investors exist right now than at any point in human history. Platforms like Robinhood, Zerodha, Trading 212, they've democratized access in a way that would have been unthinkable 30 years ago. But access without understanding isn't opportunity, it's exposure. The average retail investor underperforms the market by roughly 1.5% per year, according to Dalbar's long-running behavioral finance study. That sounds small. Over 30 years compounded, that gap quietly erases hundreds of thousands of dollars. And the root of that underperformance isn't bad luck. It's not even bad stock picks. It's a fundamental misunderstanding of what a stock actually is, and therefore, what it actually does. So before we talk about strategy, before we talk about valuation or timing or any of that, we need to fix the foundation. Stay with me, because by the end of this, the way you look at every company you've ever invested in is going to shift. A stock is not a bet. I know that's how it feels, especially when you're watching a ticker bounce up and down in real time. It feels like a casino. It looks like a casino. But here's the distinction almost nobody makes clearly enough. A stock is a legal ownership claim on the future earnings of a real business. That's it. That's the whole thing. When you buy one share of Apple, you own a fractional piece of Apple's factories, its intellectual property, its brand, its future revenue. You're not borrowing it. You're not renting it. Now here's where it gets interesting and uncomfortable. That means when most people are investing, they're actually doing something much closer to renting opinions about price movement. They're reacting to sentiment, headlines, and momentum. They're technically owners who are acting like spectators. That distinction is everything. Because once you internalize ownership, the psychology of how you make decisions completely changes. Let's go deeper. There are two things happening simultaneously when you watch a stock price move. Layer 1, the underlying business, its revenue, its margins, its competitive position, its management quality. This changes slowly, quarterly at best. Layer 2, market sentiment, what millions of people feel about that business on any given day. This changes by the second. Here's the insight most people miss. In the short term, sentiment dominates price. In the long term, business reality dominates price. This is why a company can have a terrible quarter and its stock goes up, because sentiment was worse than reality. And why a company can have record profits and the stock drops, because expectations were already priced in. The price you see on the screen is never the business. It's a vote on the business. Benjamin Graham described this with the Mr. Market metaphor. The market is a manic depressive business partner who shows up every morning with a different offer. Some days euphoric, some days terrified. Your job isn't to match his mood. Your job is to know what the business is actually worth. That gap between sentiment and reality, that's where every real opportunity lives. Here's something that trips people up. When you buy a stock, you are not buying the company's past. You are buying a claim on its future cash flows, discounted back to today. Technically, the true value of any stock is the sum of all the cash that business will generate from now until the end of its existence, adjusted for time and risk. That sounds abstract, but it means something very concrete. A company with zero profits today can be worth billions if investors believe the future cash flows will be massive. That's why Amazon traded at astronomical price-to-earnings ratios for years. The market wasn't paying for today's Amazon, it was paying for a future version of Amazon. And a company with strong current profits can be nearly worthless if those profits are about to disappear. You are always pricing the future, not the present. Which means the real skill in investing isn't just reading last year's financial statements. It's building a credible picture of what the world looks like 5 to 10 years from now, and identifying which businesses win in that world. That is a very different skill than most people think they're developing. Here's the contrarian viewpoint: most finance content is too polished to say out loud. Stocks don't owe you anything. There's a reason stocks historically return more than bonds or savings accounts. That reason is risk. You are taking on genuine uncertainty, the possibility that the business shrinks, pivots incorrectly, gets disrupted, or collapses. The excess return you get from stocks over safe assets is called the equity risk premium. And it's real. Over long horizons, it has been roughly 4 to 6% annually above risk-free rates. But that premium only materializes if you stay invested long enough to collect it. Most people don't. They buy high on confidence, they sell low on fear, and they never actually claim the premium they took on the risk to earn. The deal with stocks isn't buy and watch it go up. The deal is this: accept short-term volatility in exchange for long-term compounding. If you're not willing to watch your portfolio drop 30% without selling, you're not investing. You're speculating on your own emotional stability. That's the part nobody tells you during onboarding. So how do you use all of this practically? 3 questions, every single time. First, does this business have durable pricing power? Can it raise prices without losing customers? Because businesses that can raise prices grow faster than inflation. That means the real value of your ownership stake compounds over time. Businesses that can't are running on a treadmill. Second, what does this business look like in a bad economy? Not a crash, not a catastrophe, just a normal recession. Does demand hold up? Does management get defensive or opportunistic? Because at some point, you will hold this stock through a recession. Better to know in advance how it behaves. Third, what's the bear case? And is it already in the price? Before you buy, you should be able to articulate the strongest argument against your position. If you can't, you don't understand it well enough to own it. If you can, and you believe the market has overweighted that risk in the current price. That's your edge. Pricing power, recession behavior, bear case in the price. Run every position you own through those 3 filters. You'll quickly discover which ones you actually understand. Now here's the realization I want you to sit with. The stock market is often described as intimidating, complex, exclusive, something for professionals with Bloomberg terminals and MBAs. But strip away the jargon, and what you really have is this: thousands of businesses available for partial ownership, repriced every single day based on the collective emotional state of millions of people. Some of those people are brilliant, many are reactive, most are short-term, which means that every day the market is open, there are pricing errors. Not always, but consistently enough over time that the patient, clear-headed investor has a structural advantage over the anxious one. The complexity of the market isn't a barrier. It's a filter. The people who understand what a stock actually is, not just how prices move, but what ownership means, what they're paying for, what risk they're taking on. They're playing a completely different game. Same market, different game. Let's come back to where we started. Most people who own stocks don't know what they own. Now you do. A stock is an ownership stake in a real business. Its price is a sentiment reading, updated constantly, that will eventually converge with the business's actual value. You're not buying the past. You're pricing the future. And the return you earn isn't a reward for being smart. It's compensation for staying patient through volatility that scares everyone else out. That reframe changes everything. It changes how you pick positions. It changes how you react when prices drop. It changes your time horizon, your conviction, and your relationship with uncertainty. Warren Buffett once said, "The stock market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient." Not the smartest, the most patient. If you walked into this thinking stocks were about timing the market or finding the next hot ticker, I hope you're walking out thinking something different. Because investors who build real wealth aren't playing a faster game. They're playing a longer one. If you want to go further, the next step is understanding how to actually value a business. Not guess the price, but value the business. That's a different piece, but it's the next step in the puzzle.